It gives me great honor and privilege, and I'm humbled to be before you as we celebrate the accomplishments, as we celebrate the sacrifices, the commitment of women all across the globe. And this should never be about a day. The day is just an opportunity for us to reflect and understand the significant role of women that impact our lives every day, every single day. And I think we ought to give them a resounding round of applause for this. I would not even attempt to try to discuss issues women tackle and are faced with every day. I don't have the capability to understand the level of challenges that a woman would go through in her life cycle. Women are made specially, in my view. They're designed much stronger than men. But beyond that strength is that inner soul that can be easily tapped into in any country and any society that would like to transform itself. For women, is love, patience, commitment, struggle comes naturally. Comes naturally. And in our world today, we're faced with so many challenges. The most recent is the COVID-19 pandemic. And who again are at the forefront of this struggle? Women. Who again, in a disproportionate manner, face the most severe consequence of the COVID-19 pandemic? It is women again. And sometimes I go to a lot of events and I hear people announce names of women who would have accomplished a certain position and try to use that to celebrate what women can accomplish. To me, it is not really celebrating. It is saying to ourselves, look, you can actually do this. That is not the case. Women has in it the potential to achieve anything. It is not something that has to be given to them. It is not something that is so special when they achieve the highest level of accomplishment that we feel it necessary that we make it a number game. In most cases, they achieve this through hard work, through commitment, through strength, character. Here in Guyana, we launched about, Dr. Vindy would have the exact time frame, about maybe a year ago, a national mask up drive. We were able to mobilize more than 300,000 masks all across the country. Minister Manichan also played a big role in that. It was our first shot at addressing the pandemic. And 95% of that production came from women all across the country, understanding a need for them to step up, understanding the need for them again to make a mark. The initial education on COVID was driven by women in this country. The seriousness that we had to attribute to COVID was driven home by women and mothers. So, this pandemic brings with it so many challenges for the private sector as a whole. But based on the statistics that we're seeing, women-led businesses are having the greatest difficulties in sustaining themselves and regaining capital to continue. And it's a major challenge that we have coming up on our hands globally. But much more important is the fallout in the education system. And I know our administration and her team, Dr. Vindi and her team, Minister Sonia, we have been working on many plans and platforms to keep children in school. But the global trend in analysis so far is frightening. And when school finally reopens, we'll see the true impact of this pandemic on our education system. And again, this can be a great drawback in the gains we have made in reducing disparity and also in the educational sector. And again, women will have to be in the forefront of that struggle. Our education system is heavily supported and managed by women. So, this pandemic has really taught us a number of lessons. But important in these lessons is for us to understand that we can only get by when we come together, when we pool our efforts. All of us must share the same commitment in resolving problems. And women issues are not only about women. If we are to resolve the many challenges, all of us, men, women, children, regardless of their political affiliation, we must share the same commitment in resolving the issues. Fortunately, we are seeing globally a trend that is encouraging. The new generation of women, many of whom we saw earlier, are starting at a far superior level than those before them. They are starting on a far better platform, but they cannot relax there. We have to look at moving the agenda forward. And that is why I think from a government perspective, from a societal perspective, we have to look at a national approach in which we mainstream issues and challenges of women into the policy framework of the country itself. Not only for the government, but importantly for the private sector too. How challenging it is for women to access loans. How do we address that? If we are to motivate investment in a particular area, we have to build specific investment regime to motivate that investment, whether it's tax incentives. Similarly, in order to break this cycle and make it easier, we have to sit with the banking sector and we have to work on a plan in which we can develop a regime, an incentive regime that would make it easier and less complicated for women to get loans so they can start their own businesses. I'm very, very pleased recently when I learned that a significant percentage of the young professional homes would be taken up by females. Will be taken up by females. And that tells a story. It tells a story that the message, the culture, and the stereotype is changing to the extent that young women today see themselves as providing their own opportunities, owning their own homes. Very important. Very important for empowerment. Very important for the building of confidence. On this note, as we speak about the integration of women in the national framework, we cannot help, and sometimes we try to avoid it, but we have to speak about the development of the family. We cannot change this country community by community unless we develop the family. Unless we sit as families, we change the way families think, and when you combine that change, you get community change, then you get national change. The value of family, the value of more empowered families is important in the advancement of women also. Stronger families are critical in supporting women. And in Guyana, we have never discussed the issue of families in a strategic way. Minister Mani Chan, when she was at Human Services and Social Security, started many initiatives. But we have built these initiatives into a national framework. And I know Dr. Vindi is working on a number of these initiatives with her team. But very soon, from the level of the presidency, I'm going to be addressing the issue of family in building this one Guyana we want to achieve. Today, just before I came here, I sat with a few designers and I went through the Bible, the Gita, and the Quran. And I've identified particular scriptures that I would like to be placed on scrolls all across this country as a gentle reminder, as to who we are as human beings. What is expected of us? We can achieve significant change not only for women, but for our society if we go back to the core values on who we are as humans. And we have to have this conversation in this country. And I'm depending on the women in our society to lead this conversation. What do we want to achieve as an individual family and collectively as the Guyanese family? How do we help each other to achieve? These issues are critically linked to the development of society in which women plays a leading role. In recent times in our country, when we were faced with many challenges, if you look at a lot of the footage, you will see it was a lot of women there. A lot of women speaking. A lot of women standing tall. So there's a nexus. We have some advancement from this new generation, but how do we help the current generation? How do we empower them? so that they can support that movement. One of the things we have to focus on is how do we increase household income? Very important. And we're working now on a project, especially in the rural communities, where we can have training in the call centers. And women who are homemakers, they can be part of that training so that they can also be exposed to an economic activity that would add to household income, giving them a greater strength of character, greater independence. And that is a massive program we're going to launch all across the country. Single parents. We have to have a specific agenda on how we are going to deal with single parents. Because as much as we talk, if we do not have the economic changes and the economic opportunities to support the social development, then you will have political problems. It is just the nature of things. That is why the platform has to be built on economic, social, political, and cultural basis to support the even development. You can have the political development moving faster than the social and economic development, and you would not see the results. Sometimes the laws are far in advance of the institutions that have to implement the laws. So we have to relook at the entire framework. Which areas require strengthening so that we can achieve the objectives of the laws? Has to go hand in hand. So, from all the proposals I've seen from Minister Vindi and various cabinet members, there's some common theme in relation to what we want to achieve as it relates to women development. 1, greater participation. 2, empowerment. 3, enhanced livelihood option. 4, a more secure environment in which they can live. 5, stronger families. And 6, very important, is ensuring that our institutions, is ensuring that our national framework address in a holistic manner the challenges of women. So I congratulate you today, not because of International Women's Day that is coming on Monday, but I congratulate you because of the great role you have played in the lives of every Guyanese. I congratulate you because of your commitment, your dedication, your patience, your love, your tolerance, and your belief that you can be a positive influence and change in our country. I congratulate you because we are seeing a shift in which future generation of women would not have to undergo the challenges and barriers current generation fought to make their lives better. Together, we can. Together, we will. I ask every single woman in this room and across Guyana to join with me and every Guyanese in building one Guyana. In building one Guyana in which all of us can be proud to be part of. Thank you very much, and God bless you all.